Ladies and gentlemen, the discussions have been lively and robust, and that indicates that we are getting somewhere, that it has not been just about sitting and listening. And the point of it is to get somewhere, to collaborate, to come together, and to create something better than we had individually before. Now, we're a little behind time, but we are going to go to our next session, and that session, the topic is under livelihood, social enterprise, an effective model for building sustainable communities. So it would seem that this one, the baton, would go hand in hand with the one before. The moderator, I'm going to invite Ms. Charmaine Brim, the technical specialist for socioeconomic development community renewal program at the PIOJ. So let's give her our attention and let us practice again. Okay.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. What a vibrant discussion we had before, and we expect that we will take that into the other sessions because this is how we can effectively plan for better community development. So this session, as was stated, will be focused on livelihoods, and the particular area of focus is social enterprise as an effective model for building sustainable communities. And to just set the context, I'm just going to read a little statistics. More jobs were created by social enterprises over the last 12 months in the United Kingdom than by mainstream small and medium enterprises. 41% by social enterprises and 22% by mainstream SMEs. This is according to Social Enterprise UK 2015. 52% of social enterprises in the UK grew their turnover in 2015 compared to 40% among the traditional SMEs. This not only reflects a changing business paradigm, but it also confirms the state of play in buying patterns of consumers. And so the social enterprise model has been one that has demonstrated its effectiveness in wealth creation and community transformation. And so even for Jamaica, we have adopted the social enterprise model as a key tool in creating sustainable communities. And so within that context, our conversation today is going to be looking at why this model is being touted as an effective one. This session is going to be led. I'm going to invite the JN Foundation to make a presentation, and then the Ministry of Industry. So I'm going to invite Opal White as well as Mr. Clifford Spencer to come on stage. They will have 30 minutes in which to do the presentation, 20 minutes for JN, 10 minutes for the ministry, and then we'll open the floor for 10 minutes of question and answers. Once that is done, we'll invite the other panelists that we have come on stage and do their presentation. So can you help me welcome Opal White? She is the project manager for SEBI in the Jamaica National Foundation. Remember to keep the applause vibrant to encourage until she comes up.
Good morning, colleagues. Can I say colleagues? Good morning. Great. I remember 2 years ago, I was actually buying water at home, and today I can actually sell water to people. Can you imagine that? It's really great. Good things are happening. So I'm going to focus on social enterprises creating sustainable communities, the SEBI approach. And I just want to say that social enterprise is one tool for community development. It works for persons who can really manage and sustain a business. So there are certain prerequisites that must be in place for the social enterprise model to work. By now, all of us should have a common understanding of what a social enterprise is, correct? We all know what a social enterprise is. No? Do I hear no? Okay. So Jamaica's MSME and entrepreneurship policy defines a social enterprise as a business whose mission is to solve social, economic, or environmental problems at the community or at the national level through effective and ethical business practices with the reinvestment of profits to the social mission. So basically, social enterprise is a business, like any other business. It generates revenue. The revenue goes into the social mission. I remember last year when we tried to engage about social enterprise, persons would sort of push back and say, but we don't have a common definition for social enterprise. Now we do. So we can move past that conversation and keep things going, right? So how do we use the power of the market, really, which is embedded in social enterprise to create positive change across Jamaican communities? How do we use business as a force for good? That is what it is about. Today, I will share with you on SEBI approach to creating change. SEBI was not an accident by JN Foundation. We know how charitable organizations work. You give donations, and sometimes you will see the output sustained, and other times you can't see anything, right? And that is what came out of the discussion that that persons were having. What is the change? We can't see anything. So JN Foundation noted that there was a problem where interventions were not being sustained, especially at the NGO and the not-for-profit level. The social enterprise model, where an efficient business is created to generate revenue to fund the mission, was introduced. But to work with social enterprises alone was not sustainable either. When you create the social enterprise, what happens to them? That was just not enough. You see, the dual responsibility of generating revenue and at the same time fulfilling a social mission demanded the creation of an ecosystem. So when Safi Brown in 2012 designed SEBI, it was about creating an ecosystem for social enterprise. It was about building a social enterprise network. It was about advocating for inclusion in national policy and also creating access to finance. Because we thought that the enterprise in the community standing on its own would eventually run into challenges. So the focus really was on building out an ecosystem. There were 6 key outcomes which, if achieved, could result in a viable social enterprise sector. Now, what are those outcomes that we were looking at? Outcome 1 for SEBI was that we have social enterprises passing through the incubator that could generate revenue and have even greater impact on their social mission. This is a best practice conference. So we need tangible examples of social enterprises that are generating revenue. We're talking about MSC Farms, for example. They will be a part of a panel, I believe. Defcan Coffee. We're talking about 360 Recycle, Alphaware, JAD Binders. Those are tangible examples of social enterprises that are on a path towards sustainability, right? That was one of the outcomes that we really wanted. 2, we wanted to also demonstrate social return on investment, right? And research has shown that for every dollar that you invest in a social enterprise, the multiplier effect for the society is far greater than traditional enterprises. And if you have heard Dr. Knife present, he would talk about social return on investment and actually show the calculations of the kinds of things that you add to show value. Outcome 3 for us when we were designing SEBI, it was about improving the knowledge and collaboration of enterprises within the sector. We can say without hesitation that there is greater knowledge and collaboration around social enterprise. Since SEBI, several organizations have added social enterprise model as a tool to addressing development challenges. The PIOJ, for example, British Council, JCIF, Digicel Foundation has always been a part of the sector. I remember working with Patrice when she was at Digicel Foundation. Several organizations have been using social enterprise as a tool to provide development support, and that is really what was desired when SEBI was designed. So we can say that SEBI has successfully introduced a wide cross-section of people to social enterprise. At the last summit we had in January, we were able to mobilize over 500 people over 2 days, people wanting more information about social enterprise. Outcome 4, social enterprise was to be included in national framework if it was to become viable. And how did we seek to achieve that? We thought that inclusion in national policy was one sure way to get it institutionalized in all the agencies that serve communities. And so we say that social enterprise is now a part of the MSME and entrepreneurship policy. That was designed in 2012 when SEBI was being written. DBJ, for example, the Development Bank of Jamaica, has embraced social enterprise and is working to create inclusion of social enterprise in the financial system. That is another tool that will keep social enterprise going. It needs to be included in the financial system so that when AlphaWare, for example, starts to get so much order that they have exhausted their current equipment, they're able to go to a bank and say, I have this amount of demand, I need to retool. But we have to prepare the financial system to be ready to have those conversations with social enterprise, and that is a part of the work that we are doing. Outcome 5 was to increase the demand for goods and services produced by social enterprise. And that is something that, since the start of the year, social enterprise has had over 75 hits in the media, and we're not afraid to say that. Sometimes we hear we're good at marketing, and that is fine. If you're producing a good or service in your community and you and your neighbor alone know about the good, you're not going to grow. Everybody needs to know what it is that you're doing. So, on November 30, for example, we will introduce a bisocial mark and campaign for Jamaica, and that bisocial mark and campaign is about creating even greater awareness of the impact you have when you actually buy from social enterprise. It's not just satisfying your own demand, you actually extend, multiply the kind of impact you have on society. Employment increases within the social enterprise sector. That is another outcome that we wanted for SEBI. But what is unique about how social enterprise add to the labor market really is that any business at all, businesses by their nature will add to employment, right? Because as businesses grow, chances are you're going to need more people to work. But what is different about social enterprise is that they focus on inclusive employment. That is why 25% of the enterprises in the SEBI incubator is operated by persons who are living with a disability. Superior Crafts and More, for example, is focused on keeping employed the over 20 members who are blind. When we started with Deaf Can Coffee, we saw Carlisle and Fabian. Now they are rotating over 24 young persons who are deaf. So when social enterprises speak about employment, the focus is really inclusive employment, engaging communities that are typically left out of the labor market. Persons living with disability, marginalized populations, communities. UNDP, for example, I believe the UN did a research and it showed that up to 15% of persons in Jamaica live with some form of disability, and I believe they included mental illness to that, to the 15% of Jamaica's population. And what they found was that just 1% within that group are employed. So it means that somebody else is bearing the cost of keeping that population going. And that is what social enterprise can really add to, because every business by nature generates employment. But inclusive employment is one feature that distinguishes social enterprise. So we are at a best practice symposium, and I think our focus has to be on what it is that work and what it is that really don't work, what lessons we can learn from those. So I'll share with you a bit of our scorecard, really. The panel you will see coming up include some of SEBI's social enterprises, and they will share with you, I believe, some of the things that work for them, how they have been growing, you know, the changes that have been made. The goal is really to achieve profitability. We're not talking about fundraising when we say social enterprise, not fish fry no, fish fry is out of style. We're doing 5Ks now, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about business, profitable businesses. That is what is required to sustain the social mission. You know, social return on investment. Sometimes when we say the return on an investment is 10%, if we were to add the external costs of doing business to people and to the planet, we would have lots of subtraction to do from the 10%, right? Somebody has to pay that cost. There is a social cost to every business, which all of us involuntarily pay. Social enterprises are driven by people, planet, profit. None can replace the other. If you are not generating revenue, you're not operating a social enterprise, right? All of it, those are intertwined. Dr. Knife had done some research in this area, and we really credit our understanding of the principle behind social return on investment to this work. So, the SEBI approach is really to improve knowledge and collaboration within the sector, and we've taken two distinct approaches to doing that. We have worked through a business incubator because we really wanted to prove that the model can work, and a business incubator is very confined. But to add to that incubator, we also had an open network where we provide capacity building to anyone who has an interest. We do the SEBI summits as a part of, you know, this open network, networking events. And this open network of activities, those were really the catalysts to the growth of the social enterprise movement in Jamaica. And I heard someone on the panel spoke about projects and the fact that they do have an end, and that is so true. SEBI is a project and it has an end date. So from the very beginning of SEBI, we have been planning for the end. How do we sustain the gains that have been made in this sector? That is why we have targeted institutionalizing social enterprise into the national framework. Social enterprise is a part of national policy, national planning. The DBJ has endorsed social enterprise as part of their strategies to spur development. That is why we are working to create inclusion of social enterprise in the financial system. In June of this year, I recall we had a training for social enterprise, on social enterprise for policymakers, business enablers, and other influencers, and we partnered with the World Bank and the Ministry of Industry to do that training, because very quickly we understand that we are a project, so very quickly we have to transition and sort of create champions to keep social enterprise going. All of this is towards making social enterprise a sustainable intervention that can live beyond where it started, a project SEBI. I recall, this has nothing to do with outcome 4, but I recall when I started doing project management in 2018, a more mature professional looked at me and said, you know, you will always be working your way out of a job. That's the nature of projects. So it is with SEBI, really. So inclusion in national framework is critical to sustaining the gains that we have made, where ordinary people can create solutions to their challenges using business principles. So I want to pause here just for a moment. I hear 5 minutes. Pause here for a moment. This, for me, gets interesting because it's an area that we often omit in terms of how we do business. How do we create and sustain demand for our products and, you know, within community-type businesses? You see, people will often make one-off purchase because they want to support a cause. We like to patronize this and patronize that. We do that. But one-off purchase for lower priced goods does not make a viable business, right? And that is why SEBI has really tried to teach its enterprises to create and sustain demand for their products. Yes, from engaging the media to telling your stories, developing first-rate brands, and creating platforms for visibility. We cannot discuss all the elements for creating demand here, but I want to give you some homework. Go to Defcan Coffee website in your own time. Go to that website. There will be you will see strong branding with compelling stories. Enterprises, social or otherwise, whatever enterprise you have, one of the best investments you can make is paying money to develop your branding. The way we organize community businesses, we have to brand them. We need mainstream money, so we have to change our look and feel mainstream, right? So we have to really invest in branding. Internationally, our enterprises are being recognized in areas of innovation and impact. We're talking about Link Your Purpose. Lanisia Roden is in Finland right now, competing at the Slush global competition. It's for tech companies. And when we interviewed Lanisia to be a part of the SEBI incubator, the first conversation, not everything was together, but Lanisia always had purpose. And so we worked with Lanisia, and she's now in Finland competing. I think it's up to 500,000 euro is the award. Defcan Coffee has been awarded for innovation in employment, innovative employment, for the Zero project in Austria. 360 Recycle will be off to Iran in January for the Energy Global Award. He is the Caribbean champion, and he's going to compete with the rest of the world. Educators is another of our enterprise. Kadeem Petgrave participated in the Obama Foundation Summit. So we're not only creating local platforms, but our enterprises are being recognized for innovation and impact. Social enterprise is growing strongly around the world. In 2014, the European Union revealed that 1 in 4 business startups in Europe are social enterprises. 1 in 4 social enterprises. In the USA, leading MBA programs have doubled the number of courses they offer that have social enterprise content. So the next generation in the workforce will be talking about social businesses. Elite undergraduate business schools like Babson College have changed their mission statements to explicitly include social value. So JN Foundation is actually taking Jamaica into the future of business and how to deliver sustainable impact. It is one thing to give charitable donations. You actually change the game when you empower people to create their own resources and tools for success. No agency can create the success for people. It's about people empowerment. When I listened to the conversation this morning, one of the things that came to my mind, if you have a 22-year-old and there's a project to give the 22-year-old, say young man, 22-year-old young man, you give that 22-year-old a car or an education, what would you give that 22-year-old young man? You have the physical asset in the car, but what is more valuable in the long run? It is about empowering people to do for themselves. That is what social enterprise is about. We already spoke about inclusive employment, the social enterprise way. Now let us look at the future of social enterprise in Jamaica. SEBI is now anchoring the growth of social enterprise. And we've been able to do so with so many partnerships. Almost all the agencies we have really partnered with. And one of the things we impart on the enterprises we work with is not to shy away from partnerships, because that is how they are really going to grow. Mr. Earl Jarrett said at the launch of Phase 2 of SEBI, strengthening social enterprise in Jamaica is a tough but worthwhile task. I can talk to you about the tough part of it maybe on a Saturday. It is a tough task. JN Foundation will continue to provide thought leadership on social enterprise in Jamaica. We are transitioning from a project into a social enterprise ourselves, which will continue to forge strong partnerships, create networks, and advocate for opportunities for social enterprise. Our Buy Social campaign kicks off November 30th at the Terra Nova. You can ask me how to participate in that afterwards. So please look at ways you can